Hey everybody, Justin here with Ultra Bright Lights, and we have a very special Q&A today with Colton, all the way from Austin, Texas at the Feniex headquarters. Colton has been working with us for probably about 2 years now, and actually, how long have you been at Feniex, Colton?
I want to say about 2.5 years, give or take a
All
couple
right.
months.
Awesome, and how has it been?
It's been wonderful so far. My time here has been great. I've definitely grown a lot as a person, and since I've been at Feniex has definitely grown a lot as a company. So really good stuff going
All
on
right.
down here right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we wanted to go over the new quad stuff, and I believe you have some quad things laid out there that we can check out. And where are you
Yes,
right
sir.
now?
So right now I'm currently actually in the Feniex engineering lab. There's some stuff obviously you see here. Engineering's been tinkering, but we have a nice little wooden car here. We're dating it back a little bit. We got some nice driver side wood rocker panels, and some driver side rear bars. We have also here, we have the quad full size light bar. This is going to be imitating as our front interior bar right here. You have your rocker panels on both sides on our wood car. And then in the rear, we have a lot of different rear types of light sticks and rear ILBs and things like that. So we'll be kind of going through this and demonstrating it and showing you guys a little bit into the functionality. And any questions you have, we'll be answering those.
Awesome. Awesome. So is everything hooked up to where is everything hooked up to?
So if you look right here, so first of all, these controllers are actually going to be acting as our quad converter today. As you see here, it's hooked up. We have some rough numbers here, so like 11. So I actually printed out an instruction manual right here. So 11, for example, on this sheet would be your front cut. So if I were to turn everything on and then hit 11, it activates the front cut. As you can see, the front lights turned off. So that's how everything is wired thus far. As you can see here, we have our quad converter. We have data wires linked in. I know, like I said, we're in the engineering lab, which is why we still have all this white, but we have our power and ground. We have our green and white data wires linked in right here. And then we have all of our outputs connected to our data link right here, which is what these two controllers are being used for. Main power supply is sitting right here in the middle with everything all linked up to power. This is a little bit not as neat as a professional install because we're in the engineering lab, but that's how we have everything linked up here.
That's cool. So how many lights can you hook up to that quad converter?
So in total, it depends on what you're going for in functionality purpose. We're looking at about 6 to 8 different lights that you can link up to the quad converter. All in all, typically the way the quad converter was created to look at it as a full vehicle system. So generally in mind, when engineers and Feniex were developing this, we were thinking, okay, let's have a full vehicle setup. So you have your front visor, your rear visor. You might have a 600 light stick in the rear glass, for example, if you're looking at a Chevy Tahoe or a Durango. You'll have your rocker panels also as part of the vehicle system with the side lighting, and then even a full-size light bar. So all in all, so front interior, so what we're looking at is front interior, rear interior bar, a light stick, 2 rocker panels on each side, and a full-size light bar. And we've also tested adding another 400 stick as well, which is where that makes 7. But you can hold up to 8. Like I said, it kind of just depends on the vehicle application that you're working with.
So interesting, a rocker set would count as 2 lights.
Yes, and the reason why that is because it's actually the brain of the quad series, and the way that these lights operate, it's seen as left rocker and right rocker. So the brain is actually, this rocker says it's the right side, and that rocker says it's the left side. So driver side, passenger side. It detects it as that in the vehicle system.
Cool, cool. And then about the quad itself, what is the concept there with the quad?
So the entire concept of quad is one light for multiple vehicle applications. So you'll have red, blue, amber, and white as the colors all within one single quad module. One beautiful thing about the quad is it helps end users tremendously and agencies tremendously when it comes to actual applications for things. So for example, if I wanted to. Now, I'm not going to go through here with like the pattern select and color change on this quad converter right now at this moment. But if you were to want to, say, for example, you're an agency. Let's say you're Miami Police Department, right? So you could take this light, right? You could use this one light for this. This is working as our 800 light stick right here in our wooden car. You could use this one light for multiple purposes. You could put it into a police vehicle. You could put it into a public works vehicle if you wanted to, because you have all of your color applications all built within one module.
Interesting. Okay. Now with the quad converter, I noticed you said there's a color select and a pattern select on there. What does that do?
So whenever you look right here, there's the color select right here and the pattern select right here. So whenever you're cycling through your front mode, so see how I have this front mode right here. If I were to go onto my quad converter right here and hit this color select right here, it would actually change the colors within this system. So you would cycle through how the rockers are blue. I believe after the blue, it would go to amber and then to white. If I were to go through and tap this, typically with the color select, whenever you see it in demo videos, which you can check out actually at our Feniex University, when our CEO Hamza is working on it, he's typically tapping through it with a screwdriver. It makes it a lot easier to actually change the colors with this color changer, rather than whenever you're doing an install, having to sit there and tap through the color wire constantly. Makes it a lot easier.
Now, I noticed when you activated the front mode, it turned on the rocker panel. So the rockers are part of the front?
Yes, the rockers are a part of a front in terms of the vehicle system, and I believe also they are activated within the rear too as well. Oh, nope, so they are a part of the front in this vehicle setup that we have right here.
And that's not changeable, correct?
No, sir, it is not. So the way the quad actually works when it comes to light sticks, with rockers being the one exception. Rockers are the one exception in this instance. All light sticks within the quad system count as rear-facing modules and rear-facing products. So if you have, say, a quad 600 and you link it up into the vehicle, the 600 is going to not work for any of the front modes. It's going to work only for the rear modes. Now, for ILBs, though, the one important thing is to note, obviously, is we have rear ILBs and we have front ILBs. The front ILBs will always work for the front of the vehicle, and it will be effective for all of the front modes with the converter. The rear ILBs will work for all the rear modes and and function properly with all the rear modes on the converter. So, for example, if we look at our quad converter manual right here, there is the left arrow function, for example. The left arrow function is always only going to work in the rear. It's not going to be something that works on the front of the vehicle. So as you can see here, the rear of our vehicle system has the arrow function, and then the rear of our ILB or our FLB is actually also projecting an arrow right now.
Okay. So now if you wanted to move a 800 stick to the front of the vehicle, maybe in the grill, that's not something you can do.
So it is something you could do if you need a flash pattern. The only thing is you would definitely want to operate it on a separate quad converter. So you can put multiple quad converters on a vehicle when wiring everything together. It's just if you want something, say, like you said, a 600, 400, 600, or 800, and you wanted to put it on your push bumper, you would want to use a separate quad converter for that one light stick, because if you linked it up to the original quad converter, say with your full vehicle system, like we have here, if you were to link up and say you installed one of these light sticks that we have here and moved it up to the front, if you turned it on and only used the original quad converter, it would still operate with all of the rear modes on that converter.
Is there any way that you could sync up quad converters? And can you share a controller or a switch panel with two quad converters?
So there isn't a way currently to sync up quad converters, but you can share with the converters in terms of wiring. You can share them with a single controller. So if, say, for example, in this, like I said, I would move one light stick up to the front. If I had a second converter that I had plugged in right here, I would just wire it accordingly to my controllers on how I would need it to function, and it would work properly all with one controller.
Now, for all the products that don't use this quad converter, or how do those function?
So the ones that don't use a quad converter, there's a few different products that don't use a quad converter. So first of all, you have your 1X, your 2X, and your minis. So those will all function, and they will all come standard with a cigarette plug. And that cigarette plug, we actually have the dual changer. So you'll be able, rather than on how we have on our normal Fusion series, when you get something with a cigarette plug, we have a color change and a pattern change, just like the quad converter would be, but it's a little bit more simple. And then, so that'll all be function off a cigarette plug. Then you have your QSMs, which the QSMs function very similarly to how an under mirror puck would actually function. There's a color change wire and a pattern change wire, and then you have all your modes that are available on that QSM.
Now, for the quad converter, is there any way to lock the colors down? You know, if you were an installer and you didn't want someone to change the colors down the road.
So there is a way to lock the actual converter, but that's something that we have not released yet, but we should be releasing here within the coming days, due to the fact that we've now started shipping quad light sticks to our favorite dealer over here, Ultra Bright Lights.
Excellent, excellent. So that's something that the feature is there. We would need the instructions to do it.
Yes, sir. There should be a locking sequence as well as an unlocking sequence should you ever need to change the actual light application. So for example, if someone wanted to, say you're working with a police department and you wanted to lock the colors into red and blue, you can have a sequence to do that. And then say that same fleet manager comes up to you and says, hey, we want to change this light over from this police department over to this DPW truck. You can go in, unlock the quad converter, set all the modes then to amber white, reinstall the light into that new vehicle, and you have an entirely new application for the light.
So now for each light, are you able to use different colors and maybe use dual color versus tricolor or single color?
So yes, so with the actual lights themselves, you can cycle through the patterns to where you will be able to do, you can have one module that'll flash single color, you can have it flash dual color, you can go through tricolor, and then you can even have one that's done quad color. On the QSMs, I've actually tested this. It's very interesting, I must say, seeing red, blue, amber, and white all flash together. I don't know why you would ever use that, but if you ever did want to use that, you 100% could. I don't know if your state laws would allow it, but you could do it. And then one other important thing to note is right now, people may have seen it to where, because right now for color changes, all we're using on these color changes is this quad converter. So you're constantly going through here, you're tapping through this, tapping through this, tapping through this in order to actually change the color. Eventually, this isn't what this exact video is about, but eventually you'll be able to bypass all of that with our Feniex One controller. So similar to how the Fusion 49-inch actually goes through and you can plug in a data link, it'll work similarly with the Feniex One. We just don't have all those details yet.
Is there one hidden there in the engineering lab we can see?
You know, I've been looking, I'm not going to lie to you, but I don't see one right now. I think they hid it from me because they, like I said, they know I talk a lot. So I don't think they would show it to me just yet.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Now for the quad converter, how does the wiring work for each light? What's the wiring harness look like on there?
So as far as the wiring harness, let me see if I can get an example here just because of all of the fun wiring that the engineering did. Let's see here. Having to trace it back. So typically, I don't have one coming exactly out of a light bar at this very moment in order to trace back. But if you look right here on the actual converter itself, let me see if I can get a little bit closer here. So you see how there is this power ground, and then you have your two data wires right here, which your two data wires will be colored for what output needs to go to where in the actual quad converter itself. this should be out of all of the build products. So we're not talking the QSMs or anything like that. Out of all of the build products, the only wires that will be coming from an ILB, an FLB, or any of the light sticks will be a power, a ground, and 2 data wires. And that will be it. So with those, you would then link them into your converter, and that's what will give you all your modes. Whenever we were initially going through the design phase of creating Quad, the reason we made the Quad converter is it really would be a huge pain to have to go through, and I think it would be the case for everybody, to have 28 wires all coming out of one product. Because if you think about it, imagine having 28 wires coming from your ILB, 28 wires coming from your light stick, 28 coming from your front ILB. It would just be so many wires and be such a hassle. So rather than having 28 wires coming from every single build product, we only put 4 for simplicity's sake, to where you can then combine them onto your Quad converter and then get all the modes that way.
That's very neat. Now with those green and white wires, those are just low amperage wires, so you wouldn't need a very heavy gauge for those, right?
No, you would not need a very heavy gauge at all. And another thing, as a disclaimer, if you've watched Feniex University, you know this, but do not touch the data wire to the power wire. Do not do it. And now, accidents happen. It might happen to someone down the line, but do not do it, because what will ultimately happen is if you touch the data wire to the power wire, it'll ultimately blow the light stick system, the ILB, the front ILB, whatever you touch from data to power, it will blow. So just as a disclaimer, I want to just reiterate this as much as possible. Do not touch the data wire to the power wire.
Okay. Right. Excellent. Will you be able to sync the Fusion products with the Quad products?
Yes, you actually will be able to sync the Fusion products to the Quad products. So for me personally, the only one I've personally tried has been the QSM, but whenever I was working with actual tech, back whenever we first had a couple of prototypes, I was able to sync together. I only used one QSM, but I would imagine it would work vice versa due to the firmware matching. I got and matched 8 total FSMs and QSMs, and they were just miscellaneous thrown throughout. So in total, I got up to 8 on that, and you will be able to sync them together.
And what about T3s and Canons?
T3s and Canons, I have not tried it, but it should work all together because of it all carries the exact same firmware. Just how the QSM, how I said, works with the under mirror puck, it should all sync together. All of those non-build items should all sync together.
Neat. How about data link? That's currently on the GPLs. Will that be on the new Quad bars?
It will not, and the reason why is because, like I mentioned a little bit previously, the thing that is going to act as the data link, and it'll come further down the line, that'll be the Feniex One controller. So the Feniex One will act, so to speak, as a data link to the Quad, as the data link is for Fusion.
Excellent. If I'm connecting my Quad to a 4200, will I need any new software or any sort of update for my 4200?
You should not need a new update for the 4200. You should just need the firmware that is currently found on our website, and just make sure it's the most up-to-date software that is on our website, because there should be 3. There's one that is pre-data link, which is, I believe it's like 2016, 2017. Then there's one that is 2018, which is the older data link software. Just make sure you have the current, most up-to-date data link software.
So Colton, that wooden car you have looks pretty cool. Can we take a look at that?
Yeah, for sure we can. So like I went over a little bit earlier in the video, the way I currently have these 2 data link controllers set up is exactly how a Quad converter would normally be set up. And what I mean by that is I have these numbers on here. So for example, button 7 matching what the 7th mode, so to speak, would be here on the Quad converter. So if I hit buttons or mode 7, it then makes the rear mode flashing 3. Or rear flashing mode 3. So ultimately, if you want to take a better look at the full vehicle system, let's go ahead and let's get the full Quad experience. So right now, so you guys know what I pressed. I pressed front mode 1 and rear mode 1, all flashing together right now. So right now, obviously, the colors aren't all matching. You don't have blue and amber all the way across or anything like that. Because like I said a little bit earlier in the video too, engineering's been tinkering with these a little bit. Not really sure what they're doing. They're always doing something special back here. As you can tell, even the curtain's drawn, so they gave me special access. So here's what we're looking at, all in all, with some of the flashing modes. Now, I'm going to go through some of the other modes on here as well for the converter, just so you can get a little taste of a full vehicle system with everything all put together. So we'll go ahead and actually stick with the front mode 1 and the rear mode 1. So now let's go here on our quad converter, and I'll demonstrate here the left arrow. So now, as you can see, I pressed, it's very faint, but button 13, which is our left arrow. Now, as you can see here, the rear of our vehicle system has the left arrow going, while the rest of the front pieces are flashing. We can go ahead and come over here, and we can also press button 9. So what button 9 is on our converter is the driver cut. That's what I pressed. So as you can see over here on our handy dandy FLB, the driver's side was cut on this FLB. Now, show some other modes, so to speak, with everything else. You have, obviously, you have your right arrow function, and both left and right arrow are hit right now simultaneously, so that's what's giving us our center out function. Right arrow is going on right there. Then we have our front cut. So as you can see, the front cut on our visor has cut. And now we only have the rear and side flashing modes. Then let's see what else. We can go through and we can show the button 19, which is the front flood. So as you can see here, we have our front flood currently on. And mind you, the whole entire reason why on the FLB we only have these modules flooding is because we actually have a selector for the FLB on how many modules you can flood at once. If you watch Feniex University, definitely it's just www.fenyxuniversity.com. Like I said, our CEO Hamza goes a little bit more in depth explaining how to cycle through all of the modules for flood, or cycle through the modules for stop, turn, tail, or anything like that. And then,
if I can interrupt you for 1 second. So the you have the front flood mode activated, but the rocker bars are not in flood mode?
So the reason why they are not in flood mode right now is because, and I think this might be why engineering might be tinkering with this, is the rocker panels themselves, as I said earlier in the video, are left side and right side. So because they act as left side and right side, they're technically driver side and passenger side. So they won't operate as the actual front of the vehicle. They're detected and seen as left and right. That's one thing that's really cool about this, is that it does, with the quad converter and with all the technology that we put actually within the lights, we're able to actually find, and the module and quad converter itself can actually figure out what product is on what side of what vehicle. So you're not having to go through, like I said, and tap through each individually. Once you link it up to the converter acting as the brain will already have all the driver side, passenger side, rear, front modes, everything like that already built into it.
Neat.
So yeah, there's a quick little glimpse though at everything that we have with all the flash modes going on and the full vehicle system flashing.
That's awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Colton. I have one more question for you. Why are you excited, and why should customers be excited about this?
So I'm really excited about this product because this product 100% changes the game of lighting as we know it. For us as a company, first of all, you look at a lot of other competitors, they have single, dual, and they have tri options. And while that's great to have tri options, it's great for being able to customize anything. The thing that makes this light so wonderful for us, and not only for us, but for agencies, is you can use this light for anything. Anything and everything that you could possibly need this light for, you can use it. Just like I said earlier, if you wanted to purchase one, put it on a DPW truck, you can. You want to purchase one, you want to put it on a police vehicle, you can. What else makes it really, really great is you have all the different modes and so much customization with everything in these products that it just feels endless, the amount of possibilities that you truly have with one light. And here's what makes it even better is a lot of times, you know, think about it, whenever you're trying to build a bar, so to speak, with whether it's with us or with any manufacturer, really, you're having to go through and you're having to say, okay, I need this module to be red white, I need this module to do this, I need this one module to do this. And that can, it could take, you know, 10 minutes, but it could take hours with how specific you are trying to get. With this one light and everything being built in, all the modes and everything that come with it are all ready to go. You have it all in one place, all the colors, all the patterns, everything you could need is all in one place and just ready right off the shelf. There's no more, we're getting past the days of countless time spending and countless hours building bars, trying to figure out exactly what you need. With all these lights, they're all ready to go. You order a front interior bar, you have all the colors, you have all the patterns, you have all the modes.
That's awesome. We're excited and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Colton, for taking the time to chat with us, and we'll look forward to getting our hands on some of those quads and getting those out there and everybody getting their hands on them. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So again, thank you, Colton, and thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.